Today we are going to be doing board building once again, and we are working on a medieval fantasy city, which is loosely inspired by the actual city of Venice and the machines created by Leonardo da Vinci.
That's right, we haven't done a board build in quite a while, so I am super excited to get started with this project and see what we can do.
But we're going to need a board for that, and luckily here's one we prepared earlier. Ta-da!
It's our Lucifera board!
So we've had this board done and set aside for a while now, just waiting for this opportunity, and today we're finally going to make it come alive.
So I'm going to go ahead and start cleaning up this board. It's a little bit dusty and there are some parts where it's separated just a tiny bit, plus the resin river. I'm going to use some ISO I think to clean that up and make it look a bit better. Probably give this a bit of a paint and fill in some gaps and do all that fun stuff.
Now this is going to take a lot of 3D printing, and we are already underway, as we can see here. Some roofs already done, and I've got a bunch more downstairs, but we're going to just keep printing things. So we have stuff for the future, and we can sort of mix and match what we like. And we can start another one. All right, so we just had an idea on how we can make this build a lot more unique. And we're going to do some customized buildings here. Naturally, I had an idea to do a workshop because there's all the Da Vinci tech going on and everything. And you had a couple of ideas.
I think a bakery
is
like mandatory. I'll do a bakery!
Awesome, yeah. I want to do, I think to go with that, a florist would be really cute. So we're gonna do stuff like that and it'll be really cool. We've got like a tower I'll do something with. That's what we're gonna do. So we're gonna grab a couple of the buildings that we think will be suitable and just do them up a bit. And the last of the buildings are done. Now, Dave has described this city as being in the midst of a technological uprising, this revolution of discovery and advancement. As engineers drunk on revelry and excitement bolt machines and cogs onto everything in sight. And as such, I'm going to be putting a lot of wooden cogs onto the side of buildings, but first I need some wooden doohickeys and cogs. And so after very carefully dismantling some Da Vinci machines, I now have a healthy supply of mechanical doobobs to do with which I please. And I want to start off strong by doing a sort of engineer's workshop, basically where all this madness is originating from, at least in this part of the town. And as luck would have it, or perhaps just some good planning for once, I have sourced this building that looks somewhat like a stables or perhaps an inn. And this is going to be perfect to convert into a workshop of madness and creation. And so immediately I'm going to replace that metallic axle with some toothpicks and glue them straight onto the side of this building, making sure that they're at a height with which they can interlock the teeth with another piece I've assembled, creating a sort of stone mill piece that's attached to the ground next to the building. This is all designed to give the viewer the impression that there's something bigger going on either under the ground or something is inside the building, turning all these cogs and generating power elsewhere. All we know for sure is that there is definitely a lot less room in that upstairs apartment when the scientists started their shenanigans. But now I don't think this building is entirely complete without some sort of sigil to mark it apart from the rest of the buildings. Something to mark the building out as a den of crazy people with hammers and screwdrivers. And luckily, the plastic Da Vinci kit has provided exactly that. There's this quite elegant piece that looks somewhat like a double wishbone, which I'm going to mount above the door and use as a sort of heraldry. Adding another small cog into the center of it really denotes it as something being very mechanical in nature. And just like that, we have an emblem for this workshop mounted on the front. I feel like no one now is going to confuse this building with the local library. Now, whenever you're 3D printing, occasionally something goes wrong. Either you've run out of filament, the leveling was a bit off, or the machine is just kicking a bit of a wobbly. However, out of the jaws of defeat, we can snatch absurdity. And so I'm going to take this tower, which is actually missing the top of it, and I'm going to turn it into something that Dave had actually proposed as a sort of iconic landmark for his world. And that is a really big tower for crazy people with canvas wings to jump off. Well, not entirely. He also thought it would be really cool to have sort of a landing pad that dirigibles can come and dock at. But the world isn't quite there yet. The people first need to invent flying machines before we can enlist a taxi service out of them. And so I'm going to grab roughly 2 fistfuls of balsa wood and matchsticks, and I'm going to set about making a platform up here. And I'm going to start off by tracing the top circumference of this tower onto a piece of plastic card, onto which I can glue my lengths of stirring sticks, and then after a bit of tidying up, I can attach extra gubbins, like a very basic safety rail, and of course a hatch for people to actually get up here from. And then the final addition will probably be a very important one, and that is bracing. Some matchsticks jutting up from the side of the tower will add that level of believable architecture to this. As as well as really adding to that aesthetic that all these additions are really just tacked onto the side of the existing architecture. This piece is also ready to be painted. Now, I've done the test spray, I know what I want, and I've glued all the buildings together now. Now what I'm gonna do is use the aerosols to cover a lot of ground very quickly and get this really nice gradient across all of the buildings. Now I'm gonna start by blanketing them all with a flat black. This will just remove all traces of the filament. I don't want any green showing through into the final result. Flat black on everything. And then I'm gonna go with a nice dark teal. This will give a really nice watery, dark feel. You know, we're above a lot of rivers, so I want that nice bounce. It's gonna give a lot of cool shadows and undertones. That's very important, because then I'm going to go straight to bright bloody red, literally bloody red, and that is going to cover all of the buildings. They're going to go fire engine red. That is important because the next couple of steps are going to really knock that back. I'm going to go with a skin tone and then a final spritz of a bone color, and then I will have ended up with this really nice sandstone look, a really nice warm one because of all the red. And just like that, I have this awesome effect that I achieved very quickly, and I can have fun doing all the little details.
So we've got all of our buildings printed up for our Lucha Vera board, and we've made some different combinations, and some are taller, some are longer as well, and they're gonna represent different parts of the city. One thing I really wanted to make was a bakery. I love bakeries, I think they're so cute, and I also think that they're super in theme with the vibe of Lucha Vera. So I wanna make one. I'm gonna turn one of these buildings into a little sweet bakery, and then I'm gonna help Murray paint up a couple of them just to look in theme for our board. So let's do it. So there are a couple of buildings to choose from for my bakery, and in the end I settled for this one-story house. I like to think that there's just a single mom or a single parent running this little bakery, and they make a ton of sweets, and it just makes the entire road smell delicious. Now I love the idea of trying to make miniatures, tiny signs, and little bits of bread and things like that could be a really cool addition to this house. But I haven't done something like this before, so I'm gonna take it really slow and start off with some signs. Using various bits and bobs that I could find lying around, I made up a couple of these signs. I added a little baked bread onto the bakery sign. At this point, I was pretty happy with how things were going, so I pressed on ahead and decided to make a little bakery stand. You can't actually go into any of these houses, so I needed to communicate a bakery somehow on the outside of the building. Using some toothpicks and some paddle pop sticks, I tried my best to make a leaning bookshelf. And in the end, I loved how this turned out. I can't wait to make up some little miniature clay baked baguettes and little rolls to add to the stand on the outside of the building. I also wanted to try my hand at making some bunting. And for those that don't know, bunting is the little square triangle hanging things that you see around. And I feel like they're very popular in the medieval time. For some reason, I also associate this with a bakery, so I thought it would fit in really well here. All I did was cut out little triangles of paper, glue them onto some thread, and paint them up in a rainbow color. Another one of these buildings I really loved was this domed roof. And I thought this would look really cool in a garden area that we could add later on to the board. To me, I imagine people going in here and having their afternoon lunch, or just a really nice place to sit down and look at the view. To define this, I wanted to give it a different color, unlike all of the other buildings I'd painted up previously. So for this building, I chose a teal green color and used contrast paint just to get this color down. I'd like to think once this building has been there for a couple of years, it would have vines and flowers growing all over it and it gets laid into the land. But I do think that this is a beautiful addition to the board. I also painted all of the roofs in a red terracotta color using a Citadel contrast paint to make this a quick and easy job. So that's pretty much it from me. All of these buildings are looking super good, but let's head back over to Murray and see what he's up to.
Having skipped a lot of the boring parts by using the aerosols to make this nice gradient and interesting look to all the buildings, it's time to go in and add all the details, which basically amounts to painting all of the windowsills, any stone pillars that are part of the structure as well, and then of course adding all of our personal details. Whether these are canvases with a pattern on them or door signs, we're going to try and create as much character as we can with all these different buildings to make them all look unique. The first building I grabbed, I decided to turn into a florist. I thought that would make a really nice and vibrant building that would really lend itself to the world around it. So to truly show off that this is in fact a florist, I need to create a few flower beds. Some are going to be larger and they'll be in the immediate area around the florist, and the rest are going to be hanging from the windowsills or just perched outside the shop. And I'm going to make all of these by cutting out some foam board and then gluing on sections of paddle pop stick that I've cut to size. And then to really sell it all, I need a sign to hang above the door. And why stop with one sign when you can make several to use it on different buildings? So by creating a small frame using matchsticks, I'll create a frame that is both pleasant to look at and will be a lot easier to glue onto the building itself. For the door sign itself, I want to give the appearance that it's hanging by chains, so I will use more paddle pop stick and suspended with some tiny fine chain. Now the chain really didn't want to play ball, but in the end I triumphed and got it to stick in place. Then once it was attached to the sign itself, I then looped it around the top of my frame and then letting glue dribble down the rest of the chain, gluing it firmly in place, giving the illusion that it is now hanging when it is in fact nice and rigid and ready to paint. After base coating with a dark brown and then given a quick highlight, my flower beds are ready for some colourful tufts and my signs are ready to have little flower pots painted on them. For the workshop, I followed exactly the same procedure as I did with any of the other buildings, except for the front door, which I decided to give a really nice painted blue look. And then to top it all off, literally, I decided to paint the roof purple, which is in fact the colour of the roof of the guild hall that our characters in Lucifera will be staying at. Then some finishing touches on the wooden cogs on the outside, and this building is finished. Alright, we've made good headway on all the buildings, but we need to attach them to the board, so we need to prepare that as well. As you can see, we've got a lot of the board done here, except all these empty areas, which we sort of left open. And with that being said, we have the general idea, this is where the bridges attach, so I need to decide where we want all the nice open areas, maybe a park, and of course, the building fronts to look good next to the river. We've already touched up some of the gaps and scratches that unfortunately the board has gotten. That's just what happens when you have it around, no matter how careful you are. We've got some spills, which of course we'll paint over, and we're gonna texture all this area. And I really want to add some gardens, really bring the city to life as we put all the buildings down. So I'm gonna get started on working out exactly where this is gonna flow. I think I'm gonna get a nice strip here, as if we're gonna have sort of a town square about here. That'll look really cool and give the illusion that there is more to the city, as this is just going to be a slice of it, and there's a lot more life bustling in and out of the scenes. So it's time to get a little bit dirty and grab some rollers and some putty. Alright, I've got my filler, which is what I'm going to be using for making the roads, and I've decided where I want the roads, and to make them nice and clean and matching the others, I'm going to use some tape. And I can use that to lay out exactly where I want the roads to go. Be nice and straight, put the putty down, and then at the end, I peel the tape off, and it's going to be lovely and clean, and there's not going to be all this yucky gunk where it's spread out and I needed to scrape it off or something. So let's go with that, and I'm going to lay out exactly where the roads are going to go. Cool. All right, I've got the layout done. I'm happy with it, and it's time to put on some of the filler. So let's tuck into that. This is a different texture roller to the rest of this cobblestone, because when cities change or are renovated, often they will change the styles, and it's really cool to see that difference in cities. And it's totally not because I simply cannot find the actual roller that we used all that time ago. Ayy, nice. Yeah, that's gonna look really cool. Awesome. How's it going, Jen?
Good. Look, we're done.
Hey.
Hey.
Nice one. High five.
Wow, isn't Murray doing such a good job getting this board together? Well, if you want to see what this board is being made for, obviously go to Tabletop Time Roleplay. We really care about roleplay, we're passionate about it. It's actually what brought Tabletop Time back in the first place. So if you like watching long plays or live plays, we're starting a brand new campaign. Episode 1 of our new campaign, set in this great fantasy world, Lucifera, is going live on Tuesday, the 23rd of this month at 8:30 AEST. If you want to jump on board and watch Jazza, Murray, me, Jen, and Al all play fun role-playing games, go check out Tabletop Time Roleplay. There is a video up right now, links in the description, to show off the world and the setting and the characters we're going to be playing with, and we can't wait to have you along for the journey. Thanks for watching, everyone. Oh, it looks so good. Oh.
And as we walk together on the lovely streets in Lucha Vera, I want to take a moment to thank our patrons. It is you that created all of this. Yes, you did this, and we just helped you along the way. It is your support that allows us to create awesome things like this, and we will continue to do so. And if you want to join in on some of the fun, signing up gets you access to our Minis Discord channel, where you can talk to us even more and even jump in our monthly mini review, in which you can submit your creations and works in progress and get our thoughts on what you're working on. The links are in the description, and it is of course the best way to support us. And now, we did it! A whole city! It looks amazing. All the little additions, like your little bakery, it's so cute.
Yeah, 100%. We've been seeing this board sitting in the back of our warehouse for like a really long time as well, so I'm really glad that it's now like finished.
It feels good. Finishing a project is always the best feeling. So we have finished this slice of our world of Lucha Vera. The first episode will be up soon, and we will be starting an entire campaign in our roleplay setting. And so this video is coming to a close. We have a couple of other videos looking into the world, the design, and the monsters of Lucha Vera. So if you want to check those out, they're on the channel. Otherwise, we need to go prepare for the roleplay.
That's it, gotta get my costume on. Excited.
Peace!